like this part she's cut a little shorter, so
Maybe, I don't know.
yeah, I like it.
Anyway, one thing I wanted you to talk about was, so we can get it straight, with when you and Eileen came out here to California, and so it was before the war, during the war?
Oh no, this was after
the war.
After the war, because see the war started when I was a junior, and what was it, about 4 years? So it was after. No, it was after the war.
So when you came out that time with Betty to her family, that was during.
That was up in Oregon. That was during the war.
That was just during the war.
Wait a minute.
Because you said how many guys were on the train.
Yeah, that was just full of they were all Army people, yeah. That was, well, let's see, I graduated in 43, so that was probably 44. Yeah. Betty had been taken this trip out before to her parents during holidays or something, so she knew what the lineup or what you do, and so I guess you talk to the, what's the guy in the conductor, and so we got a seat pretty soon. Of course, she gave him some money, of course, to do this, but because that would have been a long ride standing.
I mean, there was a lot of people standing then.
There were, no, I don't think so. Maybe a few, but it seemed like they were just people that got on and got off.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just the guys and the Army guys. And then I remember when we came into Portland. But anyway, I would see the clouds in the distance, and I'd say, Betty, is that those mountains? Because I'd never seen the mountains before, and I kept doing this all the way out there. And then when we got there, Betty's mother met us. I remember that.
So that was in what town?
Shamawa.
That was the
Portland.
School. Portland.
And then I stayed there kind of overnight till my aunt and uncle came from, the town was Jefferson.
Oh,
I should have been able to remember that.
You got it now.
Yeah.
Good.
Until they came up and took me down to their place. And that's, I think it was on a Sunday. And then when we got to their place, Maud fixed it. And that's when the first time I'd ever eaten stuffed green peppers.
Oh.
And they were so good. I guess
Did she cook them like you do?
Yeah, that's how I kind of remember, and that's how I made them, because I never saw a recipe. But anyway, one of her son-in-laws was a gardener. Well, he's a gardener. What do you call it? That was his business. That was his little farm was.
He was
Truck farmer, yeah.
Oh.
And so everything was just so fresh.
Well, so she grew her own peppers. They had their own peppers.
Yeah, I can still remember how he used to bring produce to her too, because she worked in that little station, and her husband worked for the state, the highway department. So
it was like a gas station, right?
it was a gas station.
But she had like a restaurant.
Well, she had a little something she cooked on, whether it was a hot plate or what, and so. If somebody came in, I suppose if they wanted coffee or a sandwich, she'd fix them. Because this was after the war, but you still couldn't get gas, or it was pretty hard to get gas. So she didn't sell much gas.
Oh, I see.
She was there, but she didn't sell much gas. And you still had to have coupons.
To get gas?
Is that what they were called? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Coupons.
Yeah, so that was a problem, too, because I remember my mother, because on a farm with a tractor, you could get more. Mm-hmm. So I remember her sending me some coupons to give to Maud. So, yeah.
But that was because it was a commodity that was in short supply.
And they needed it well, it took a long time after the war was over before things became normal again. Because I remember when I was in Oregon just trying to find a pair of shoes. Oh. I mean, I know there was a shoe store, but of course I had a problem anyway to get them to fit. But still, there wasn't many shoes. And I suppose all clothing was kind of like that. Although when I was in Oregon, it was before Christmas, and I guess I had got a check, and I bought a new winter coat. It was one of the nicest. It was kind of like that furry coat of yours. It felt like that, but it wasn't exactly like that. But it was a black coat, and it was really pretty. And let's see what it seems like. I had a dress or something to go with it. So there were things, but there wasn't much to choose from. And in the food products, it was kind of the same thing.
So in food products during the war, did you have to have these coupons too for everything? Or
No,
just
I don't
some
think it was
things?
everything. I think it was just certain
Like
things.
fruit or meat or...
I don't think fruit. You'd have to talk to somebody else because I just don't remember that. But I know there was some things.
Flour?
I think no, I don't think flour, but I think it was limited. I don't remember if you had any coupons for it, but I think it was a lot of things were just limited that you couldn't get anymore. Of course. But again, the grocery stores, even before the war, didn't have the things that we have now.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have refrigeration in a grocery store, did they?
Well, I'm sure they did in towns or little towns.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Maud had a refrigerator in her house.
But you didn't.
Well, I'm on a farm, but Maud was in town.
But that wasn't a very big town.
No, it wasn't, but they still had electricity. And it was coming. Portland was a big town. Salem was the capital.
Yeah.
And Jefferson was south of that. But it was on a main highway at that time. Now it isn't anymore. It's 5. But at that time it was on the main highway.
I see.
And that's probably the only reason that Maud had any business at all in her little
see.
gas station.
So how big was Jefferson? Couple hundred people?
Maybe, I don't know.
And then Dad was in the CCCs somewhere in Oregon, right?
Yeah, but he had a map. He was way over
was on the
east. Not on, but he was up a little ways.
Not on the...
No, it was kind of
in the middle of the state, but to the east?
Yeah, it was to the east. You were there, but you don't remember it.
Remember?
Because when we went to the fair in Washington, we went there. He wanted to go there. I couldn't tell you one thing about what was in the town, or if there was a town. There wasn't much there. It was just out nowhere, no man's land. But that's where kind of our CCs were put during that time to give them.
Well, they were kind of like central, and then they sent them out to work different places.
I don't know. I think that they were just lived right there. Whether they built their own cabins or what, I don't remember that.
But if there was no work around there for them to do, they'd have to go someplace.
Well, this is why the government had these. There were a lot of men didn't have work, so it was mostly just working in the forest and cleaning up the forest, or whatever one does in the forest. That's what it was.
That's what Dad did mostly, but not like firefighting stuff.
Oh, probably they
Some of
probably
that
did that
too.
too. Oh, they probably did that too. Yeah.
Did Dad ever say how many people were in something like that?
No, but there are some pictures. They're in with all the pictures that he's with other workers, and you can see that their work clothes they still have on, so you can tell they're out working in the forest or something. So, but I think he liked it. I think he just being
like anything
just
outside.
being out.
I
Yeah,
think,
right. Yeah. And then while he was there, the war hadn't broke out yet, but they knew it was near. It was pretty soon. So then he joined the Navy, and then.
But so that was in Portland, or where?
Yeah, I think so, because I think some of the papers show that it's Portland. Yeah. And then I guess they were sent to the Bay Area, because that's when the war did break out. That's where he was.
Oh, in the Bay Area.
Yeah, he was at a movie.
Oh.
In San Francisco, and the word came out,
Oh.
and told him to go to the base right away.
So his base was in Oakland, Alameda?
Probably Alameda. I would guess Alameda, yeah. So then I don't know when he was sent overseas. Well, I don't know where he went from there, because he had to have some training in metal work. So I don't know.
But he had basic training.
Yeah, but I don't know where that was.
That was either.
I don't know where that was. Whether it was in the Bay Area someplace. I don't know.
But I know
It
he
was in the
said
Bay Area. Maybe Alameda. I don't know.
But I know he said it wasn't very long after Pearl Harbor that he went to, because he said some of the things there in the harbor that had been bombed that was still there.
Oh, at Pearl Harbor, yeah.
So maybe, did he have his training in Hawaii?
He might have been.
Like the metal work one?
He might have been. I should really know that, but I don't. I would still think it was in the States someplace. But I don't know. And I don't know when he went to Hawaii either. But even when they got over there, they had to do what they could with the planes. They were damaged, but they didn't have too much to work with.
Oh.
You know, I mean, I'm sure they had some, and not like later when they had more, but there was.
They weren't quite set up, maybe.
Well, no, they weren't, you know.
Built from scratch again, so they had to wait for supplies or something.
Yeah. But when you see a war movie and you think, oh my gosh, the conditions, even when they were trying to do something, how hard it must have been working with not much, you know.
I wonder if that's
But his dad said we get them back up in the air somehow, some way. Human ingenuity, I guess, yeah. I don't know how long he was in Hawaii.
I know you have some pictures from he's in Hawaii.
Yeah. And he had one friend that was in the Navy with him, and where was he from? But they would write back and forth. They were really good friends, I guess, when they were in the Navy.
Oh.
But I can remember when he passed away.
Oh.
He was married and had a little boy.
Oh, he was pretty young?
Well, yeah. But I don't remember where he lived. It wasn't, I think maybe Colorado.
Oh.
That's fair.
Yeah, for Dad to write a letter, that would be a monumental thing. So he must have really liked him.
Yeah, I think he really enjoyed him. I think he called my dad up a couple times. I'm not even sure of that, but I think he did. Of course, nice. Dad would never call back, but that. Yeah. I'm trying to think of the fellow's name, but I can't. His picture may be in some of those pictures in the box. Yeah, I don't know.
So now tell me how you and Eileen got to California. So it was after the war, and Eileen had her nurse's training.
Oh, yeah, she had her degree.
And you guys had worked in Rochester.
Well, we were still working at the hospital. What was the name of it?
Mayo Clinic. The Mayo Clinic.
No, the hospital we worked. Mayo Clinic was not a hospital. It was just a big building with all departments, and like if you come from Marshall and you had an ailment, you'd go to the clinic first, and you'd go see all the different types that you needed. You'd go see all these specialties and all that. Then if there was something that they thought you should go to the hospital, then you would go to either
some Catholic one.
The one was Catholic. What was the name of it? And then the one we worked. then there was a second one. It was a Methodist.
But you worked at the Catholic one?
Yeah. Oh. Eileen took her training in the hospital.
Of the Catholic one?
Yes. Okay. And they were Franciscans, nuns that owned that. And to this day, I think they still have that hospital. Oh. And it's been enlarged. And so she took her training there, and she started to work right when she finished her training. Okay. I had been teaching, and I never really wanted to teach. I wanted to go into lab work. But the college I went to didn't offer it. It was really small, so I just went along with what they had, so I ended up with teaching. But anyway, a friend of mine worked at the Mayo Clinic. She was a lab person too. This was Isabel.
Oh.
And she called me up one time and said, well, they're hiring. She knew what I would have liked to be doing. And so she said, they're hiring, come down. And so I went down, and they did hire me. And they placed all the lab workers from the Mayo Clinic out to these two hospitals.
Oh.
The hospitals didn't do the hiring.
Interesting.
The Mayo Clinic did, and they placed them in. Well, there are workers from the Mayo Clinic staff the hospital labs then by doing that. Okay, so I got a job, and fortunately I was placed out at Eileen's hospital. What was the name of it? Saint something.
Okay, that's safe.
I'll think of it tonight and when I wake up in the middle of the night. But anyway, so we worked there. And I was thinking about it last night. We lived in a house. Back then, there was no apartments. Maybe there was, but there were very few and far between. So I think it was a 4-story house. It was a big house. It was a family house. There was a lady and her daughter lived there. But those houses must have lasted forever. They were so well built. Anyway. But anyway, I worked there for over a year. And I always wanted to go west because I think I'm sure you've heard me tell this many times, hearing Mom tell about how she liked it in Wyoming. And so we decided to go, although to this day, if you're talking to Eileen, she'd say, you're the one who wanted to go. So we went out to Long Beach, and we had a cousin there, Gert Owen. And let's see. So we both went there, got a job in the same hospital there. Don't ask me the name of it right now. Although one day, when I was talking to Sue Ann, I remembered the name of it. And she said, oh, yes, I remember it. Because I guess she had lived in Long Beach. So Eileen worked in a surgical nurse. That's what she did there. I was in the lab.
So Eileen was a surgical nurse in Minnesota too?
Yes. Oh, yeah. But what was it that she got that made her, she got sick. But anyway.
She got a staph infection, wasn't it?
No, they were talking about on a radio too. But it's something that's quite serious. And there's different kinds of it. You're not so sick in the beginning, but they like to say the first stages of it. But anyway, she got kind of sick when she was still working, and she said even her eyes were yellow. And she said even the doctors just ignored her. But finally somebody said, you're sick. And so they put her in the hospital. And it was during a time when one of the times we drove back to Minnesota. Mike was little, and that must have been when he was 1 year old, because he was pretty little. And usually you can't take children in when somebody's sick like that. But we were able to take him in to see Eileen. But she was in the hospital for about 3 weeks.
Oh, my.
And after that, she said she never was as strong as she was before. So whether this all worked into her being sick later in her life, I don't know, But anyway, we went to California.
So then she couldn't be a surgical nurse anymore? Was that
She was, because in Long Beach, that's what she did.
Oh, okay.
That's what she did there.
But somewhere I thought she contracted something that meant she couldn't work in the surgery part anymore.
Maybe, but I don't remember that. I don't know.
Maybe I just dreamed it.
No, you may be right, and I don't remember. But I know she worked in surgery in Long Beach, because I remember her being called out at night for an emergency. Yeah.
remember there's a story about if something, there would be a problem or something, Eileen would get, she wouldn't get upset, she was kind of...
Yeah, that's what she said. Everybody, others would get just rattled, but she said she could always stay calm, which, you know.
Yeah, probably made it pretty invaluable.
In Rochester, there was a lot of nursing, you know, surgical rooms, and you kind of worked for one doctor.
Oh, I see.
Platner or something like that was the name of the doctor that she worked for.
What kind of surgeries did he do?
I think it varied, but I couldn't tell exactly what. But they would work long days, kind of like
Dr. Palmer? Wow.
I suppose it depends, maybe not every day, but I remember how when I'd get done with my day, I'd go up there, and back then, you know, they had to wash all their utensils before they put them into whatever whatever that's called.
Autoclave or something.
Autoclave, yeah, so they had to do that. And I can remember there was a nun, and she was really nice. She was a Franciscan nun, of course, really nice, and she'd work with them, and she'd be up there helping them. But they had to do that after working in the surgical hours. And then you were always on call. She was, well, not always. I mean, I think there were certain nights they took turns.
I see.
Yeah, so, but I do remember her being called out because we lived together, so, yeah.
So your hours were more regular?
Oh, yeah, he was, yeah. But I guess the hospital, the original building is there, they've just added to it, so it's quite large.
You said that your father got operated on by one of the Mayo brothers, so that would have been in this hospital or the other one?
Could have been, it would have been, I was probably that old, because it wasn't, when we were there was, even then there was a new section and an old section.
Oh.
And I remember going to the older section, it was quite, you could tell that it was quite old, yeah. Yeah, I don't know which one of the Mayo brothers had surgery, but it was before he was married, so
Oh, I see.
Yeah. I think
What
it
was that
I think
for,
it was
appendix?
appendicitis, I think, yes, I recall, yeah.
And Eileen never had appendicitis, huh? But Grandma had a ruptured appendix, and Mike did.
Well,
And you
Grandma, me, and Mike. I hope it stopped there. I think it has. You don't hear about that anymore. People get it quickly.
Indy had it, not that.
Oh, did he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, since we've lived.
Not since you've been married.
Oh, yeah.
When he was a kid.
No, since we've been married. It was like on some holiday, like Veterans Day, or like he had the day off, I think, or it was the day before off or something, and that was part of his, I guess I can remember it because it was like another thing went wrong for him on a holiday kind of thing. Yeah.
So this was since you've been married, he had ruptured appendix?
It's not ruptured.
Oh, he had
appendicitis.
appendicitis.
Because I took him in the middle of the night to we thought he had the flu, and then it just hurt so much. He said, "Can you take me to the hospital?" And I remember he was trying to fill out the paperwork. They're trying to get information from, and it was like, it hurt so bad, he just kind of kneeled down, and it was like, Anyway, it turned out that the doctor was doing another case of the same thing right then, so he was right there.
Well,
so
that was good, yes.
they could take him pretty quick.
Yeah, well, that was good. Had he ever had the
Not that I
problem?
know of. Yeah, he did. I mean, he had no idea what it was, but the doctor was like, he felt a certain place, and it was like really hurt. Then he knew. So.
Yeah, that was kind of way with me. I can remember him feeling my tummy. Yeah. Well, he doesn't have to worry about that anymore. You don't hear about appendicitis much anymore. It used to be such a common thing.
Really? I wonder.
Well, like I said, all of the Chandlers had appendicitis. All the Chandler kids had appendicitis. I don't know whether it was they were all needed or not, but
Well, you didn't do it until it hurt. So you
well,
wouldn't
I
think
don't
they'd
know.
do
We
it.
didn't. I don't know what about the tellers or whether the doctors are just surgery happy or what. I don't know. But there was a lot of people had appendicitis surgery.
So to get back to you guys going to California, so that was in what year, you think?
43, 44, 45.
After the
Maybe
war?
46. Oh yeah, it was
Right
after
after
the
the war.
But things were still scarce to get. Gasoline was still scarce.
But you didn't have a car.
No.
And then I remember you saying that you did the cooking and Eileen did the cleaning or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's kind of what we did. She didn't want to. She didn't want to cook, and she didn't mind cleaning. Yeah, so. But even the apartment we were in Long Beach, it was just a house that had been cut up into apartments. The family were still living there. It was a man and his wife, and they had a daughter.
What about, you were telling about the big apartment? I'm confused. When was that?
The what?
You stayed in the great big place, a big house.
Oh, this was in Rochester.
Oh,
Big
that was
house,
in
big
Rochester.
old house,
Oh,
a big
okay,
old house.
okay.
There was a lot of big older houses in Rochester. Around the hospital, we weren't very far from the hospital, so walking distance. Although there was a bus service, because I can remember on Sundays
Really?
when we wanted to go to church, we could take the bus or we could walk. It was farther away than the hospital.
So then, like in Rochester, there was no way you could cook your meals.
No, yeah, there was a couple of restaurants close to the hospital. We had to eat out all the time, so there goes our money.
So then, when you got to California, then you did the cooking and Eileen did the cleaning.
Because it had let me see what. It had the bare essentials, and it had a refrigerator and a stove. Yeah. But going back to Rochester and the restaurants, there was a little restaurant right across from the hospital, and there was a kind of elderly man and wife run it, and they made the best beef and pork, cooked it, whatever, I don't remember but when Eileen liked pork and I liked beef, and they'd always say, here comes the pork girl, here comes the beef girl. And it was a very simple meal, potatoes and gravy and meat. And I don't, once in a while they'd have a dessert, but it was so good, it just was yummy,
Every day you could get that same dinner?
Well, they'd vary it a little bit. And sometimes we'd go downtown and go there and eat downtown too. And at lunchtime, I guess we ate at the hospital. I know Eileen did, but I must have ate there too.
They had a cafeteria, like?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. But there, in the nursing school, it was a separate building, and I think there was 2 or 3 girls in each room. I can remember going in there and seeing it. So that was
You mean in Rochester?
So that was.
This is where Eileen.
This is when she took her training.
Yeah.
This is not after she graduated. This is when she was in training.
Right.
So it was better than St. Bend.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Of course they had.
But it was only 2 years too, wasn't it?
No, it was 3.
3 years.
And I'm sure it probably added up to 4 because they did. I think they got two weeks in the summer, and that was just it.
Oh wow.
So.
And all the time they worked in a hospital, they never went
No,
drew blood somewhere or something like that. Like
no,
now.
it was all done right there because it was. They might have gone to some services right within the city, but I think most of it's right in the hospital.
Because now there's like some of the training is like they go to the public health department, or sometimes you get a trainee or something.
Yeah. I don't think so. It's a pretty big hospital. Even then.
This is the one where Eileen
She took her training there.
And then something Carrie wanted to know is about the nurses' hats. What did Eileen's look like from her? Can't remember, really? So when you graduate, that's like your cap that you keep forever, right? I mean, it wasn't like you went to the next hospital and then wore their cap.
Oh, no, yeah, no, that was the thing you kept, that distinguished you from the hospital. But you should look on your computer. There must be something that shows you some of the different styles of hats they wore.
Yeah,
that would be
probably.
Kind of, yeah. I couldn't tell you what hers looked like.
What it looked like? Didn't have a black stripe on it or something? Some of them did. I mean, I'm trying to remember what hers looked like.
I'm sure there was something that distinguished her, but I couldn't tell what it was.
I think I've seen her either from a picture, and she looked pretty cool in her hat.
Yeah.
She had a nice hat, if I remember.
I thought they were all cute hats, yeah.
So how did you wash them? Because they were like white.
I think that you probably sent them to a laundry, because her uniform she sent all to a laundry. Because
that's something you had to do on your own. It's not like
you had to pay for it.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't done through the hospital.
No, because
Want some water?
No, it's just something there. I has to either come up or go down. But I remember the laundry would come and pick up. There was a truck would come around and pick them up. And this big house that we were talking about, we lived in, it had a lot of porch. It had a big porch. Oh. And you said your clothes. I had to do this too. I had to wear a white uniform, not a cap, but a white uniform. Working in the lab.
Like a white dress all the time, or a lab coat, or both?
No, it was a dress. It was And so they gave you boxes, so you put the needed laundry in, and they'd come pick it up, and then a week later or sometime they'd come and deliver them to you. So you always had these nice white starch-looking uniforms. And I couldn't tell you what they called them.
So why would they be? I mean, were they cotton?
Oh yeah,
Back
I'm sure. Yeah, I don't think you had all the
So they
fat.
had to iron them and everything.
Yeah, but I think by machine. But they did a great job of it. They just were very finished looking.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Then they had to wear white shoes, white socks.
White socks? Really?
Then I think they were white. Yeah,
that must have been hard to get.
I think there was white socks.
Because you'd think
I think so. I may be wrong there. I don't know, but I know white shoes.
I always saw Eileen with white shoes.
Yeah. Well, maybe if one of the pictures we can tell what kind of socks she had.
Well, I mean, they probably changed the rules as they, because.
Oh yeah, look where we are now.
Yeah.
You don't know a nurse or a janitor. They all wear the same looking clothes. I wish there was a little. That's one thing about Dr. No, the other one.
Dr.
Palmer. He wears a white jacket.
He does, yeah. Has his name on it, I think.
Oh, probably.
He's such a big guy.
He's very tall. He's over.
Yeah. This Dr. Palmer Mom's doing the surgery on her leg, but he went to the school near Mom, St. Ben's. She went to St. Ben's, and he went to St. John's, and
today they're one big school. They're together. They still have kept their same name, but some of the literature you got has both names together on. And that's what he was telling me. He said, "Did you know they're now joined?" I think they were about 4 miles apart, but I might be wrong there.
So now it's still like you have to take a bus or something. Because didn't you say that?
There was a. You mean now or then?
Yeah.
There was a bus between the two schools because The only class I remember where we had a teacher from St. John's was religion.
And he's the one with the cape.
Yeah.
You thought you were getting out of class.
That order men wore, they were really, well, even the nuns wore these big cape things in cold weather. Yeah, we thought we were going to have a day off. And here he comes prancing in the classroom. And everybody running.
Oh, well, so much for that.
No, when you live in the building and go to school in the building, you don't have any days off.
Yeah. So it was St. Cloud. How big a town was it?
Go and get my map. Over in the bookcase, there's an atlas. I can't get in there anymore with that chair in the way.
Okay.
I think
You want a candy?
No. I don't know, but I need it. Let me see if I drink some. Marshall. There's Marshall.
Okay, so that's the southwest.
Southwest.
So Rochester's way over in the southeast.
Right.
And St. Cloud should be somewhere there?
No, St. Cloud is more up north. There's St. Cloud.
Oh, it's quite a bit north.
So, from Marshall to St. Cloud was no,
Yeah.
didn't take you forever to get there, but it did.
But it took a day?
No, I don't think it took that long. Gosh, that's so trouble getting stuff out of my throat. Let's see.
Rochester's a big town, it looks like.
Yeah, it's bigger. I suppose it's pretty big now. What were we going to look for?
Where St. Cloud was.
Oh, well, we found that, didn't we? Yeah.
There's St. Joseph.
Where's St. Joseph?
Right here.
Okay. Oh.
Right there. There's St. Cloud.
I see it. I was thinking it went.
You thought it was further away?
I guess I thought it was north.
Did you ever go to this lake up here? That's a big lake.
No. Okay, there's St. Joe's. Where's the...
What?
Where the brothers are.
I don't know the name of that place.
Well, it would have been. Maybe it doesn't have a name, but what I'm trying to figure out is how many miles, because I'm spouting out mileages, and I don't know whether they're right or not. But you can see that
St. Cloud's bigger than I thought. It's
Yeah.
kind of on the main place.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. So you can see St. Joe's was pretty close to St. Cloud. Can't tell from that how many miles.
So St. Joseph is where the school was?
Yeah, but it was just a little dinky little town.
Oh, I see.
But we're in Collegeville. That's where that's what it is.
Oh.
So, yeah, so.
So it's kind of all in that little area.
Yeah, it's all in that little area. And then Rochester's way down here. So Rochester's there, and Marshall is Minneota.
It looks like Rochester might be further away than going from taking you to school.
Yeah. And And in this part of the state, there was a men and women's college, kind of like St. Ben's and St. John's.
Near
Two,
Rochester.
yeah, it was in Winona here.
Oh.
And 2 girls from my class went there. And then in St. Paul, there was another similar to a women's college and a men's college. And Grace went to the women's college for a year.
But that's in St. Paul.
Right. But those were the 3 that were
I see.
Catholic colleges at that time.
I see. So how did you pick your college?
Well, I think for us it was they got literature from them and they offered a scholarship.
Oh, I see.
I don't know about the others.
Did Eileen get a scholarship?
I don't think so. Near shock or something.
So did she have to work?
But anyway, during the she went there during the war, and the government offered scholarship. I guess I don't know what you call them, scholarships.
But then you had to work for the government.
Afterwards, but she did.
The war was
over.
over.
That's right.
I got that one right anyway.
But even my father didn't want her to do it because I guess he didn't want her to go into service.
Oh.
But she did it anyway. But anyway, she never had to serve because it was over.
Yeah, that would have been rough if she would have been sent to the Pacific or something.
But Betty's sister, Elsie, she went to St. Ben's for 1 year. She went into their nursing program, and to do that you had to go to college a year, and then their hospital was in St. Cloud.
Oh.
But she was in
I'm surprised Eileen didn't go there.
Well, Rochester has a famous name, though. And the Phillips family were good. The nurse that took care of me when I first was sick, she was one of the Phillips girls. And I think there were 6 or 7. They all became nurses.
Wow.
And they were a good friend of my mother. And so I think that kind of... But still, Rochester just had a good name. That was more so than, but anyway, Betty's sister Elsie, she became a nurse, but she went into some service, and she was on planes that were taking the injured from the West, from Japan, that area, to hospitals in the United States.
So hospitals like Dennis was in that kind of stuff?
Probably, yeah. So I don't know whether she was in the Army, Nurses Corps, or the Navy, but anyway, that's what she did. And that's where she met her husband, I guess. That's what Betty said. Yeah. But I guess she's been gone for quite a while. But Betty still has 2 sisters living. I think. Let's see.
In Oregon, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And 1 brother, I believe. Yeah.
So did you guys do anything fun when you were living in Long Beach? To go to the beach? That would be...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Eileen liked to go to the beach. And lay in the sun, which was not, we know today that's not a good thing to do.
No suntan lotion.
No. And I can remember one time we went to something in L.A. I can't even remember what it was. I remember we got dressed up and went to it. But we didn't do too much because we didn't, even though we had jobs, we still didn't have much money. And actually, there wasn't all the things to do then that there is today.
How did you have to take the bus to go to the beach?
I don't well, I kind of, but it wasn't too far in Long Beach because the main drag went right down to the beach.
Oh, I see. Did they have a pier or anything?
Yes, it did have a pier, and it had all that goes with it. Because I remember my cousin, the one that I still keep in contact with, her brother was in the Army. I think it was the Army. And
so what's the cousin's name?
Helen. Ewan was her maiden name. Ingalls is her married name now. But anyway, she had several sisters. Well, just two of them I think came out with her, but her brother was in Long Beach. I think he wasn't stationed there, but he happened to be was going to be there, so they came out to see him. And so I can remember going down to the beach that time, and that's when I rode a Ferris wheel. I said, never again, never again.
Did Eileen go on the Ferris wheel?
I think we all went on it.
Only you didn't.
She
like
probably went
She
later.
probably liked it.
She probably went later too. Yeah.
So there'd be stuff to eat and stuff like.
Yeah,
nowadays.
it was kind of similar nowadays, but in a smaller size. Let's say.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's still there, because even Sue Ann was mentioning something about it.
Huh.
I guess she lived in Long Beach for a while. I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I can remember the first morning when we got up after this long trip,
To get there.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
but it was...
Did you already have an apartment?
No, Gert kind of...
Oh, you were at Gert's.
Yeah, we were at Gert's till we got something. But it was just a beautiful morning. I'll still remember that. Although later I just hated Long Beach. Because...
because there's no clouds?
Well, it was hot, and
Oh.
yeah, I never cared for it. I wouldn't say I hated it, but I didn't really care for it that much. But that first morning, I thought, oh, this is going to be heavenly.
Oh. What time of year was it?
I don't even remember that.
It wasn't
Because
so hot, apparently.
Well, it could have been any time of year
Oh.
in Long Beach. The sun could
I see.
The sun could be shining and
Yeah.
be very warm. Yeah.
Did Eileen like the weather?
Yeah, I think she liked it hotter than I did, yeah. Because she liked to sit out in the sun a lot. Even when we lived back home, she liked it. She liked that in the sun. Of course, that was not the best for her, but still. Yeah.
Doesn't sound like she got many sunburns or anything.
No, she never did. No, I never liked Southern California because the season, well, you didn't have, it was just all the same and it was hot. And I guess, like I said, that first Christmas when we were there, the little kids were out playing barefoot in the yards, and I thought, this isn't Christmas.
So you could go to a church close by?
Yeah, it wasn't far.
And you could get your
Because see, we were married
groceries and
there. We
things?
were married in Long Beach. Can't remember the church. It was in walking distance. It wasn't far. And I don't know whether there was a little shopping center too. So we didn't really have to go far for. Yeah.
So Dad would have been stationed nearby.
He wasn't stationed. He was
Oh,
he
he's
was
a
working
civilian?
for the car company. What did it?
Oh, the GM one?
No. What, GM?
Yeah, I think
Well,
so.
whatever it
The
was.
one that he doesn't like.
Yeah, that's one he doesn't. Yeah, no.
GM.
And he was living with
Guy.
and what was her name? His wife's name.
I met her.
But they had a house, and they had another little built house. It was kind of a little house we had, and that's where he lived with his. When I met him, he wasn't living with his friend. Was it a friend
this
or a
is
cousin?
a friend from Colorado, maybe?
No, it was somebody
Just another
else.
friend.
But anyway, they lived back there. But I think when I met her, he was still just by himself. Let's see, God. She was really nice. I really liked her. His wife was
we
really
went
good.
to her house, I remember.
Yeah, later on after they were divorced, yeah. And there is, in the box of pictures, there's a picture of he and she, I can't remember her name, and they were at a racetrack. There's some famous racetrack down there, and there was a picture taken on their races. Guy and Ooh, this is driving me nuts.
Guy was the son of Ben, or which Thibodeaux?
No, not Ben, because Ben didn't have any children.
Oh.
I'll have to think about that one. I'll have to think about it. I'm not sure. But later on, he lived up in Oregon.
Oh.
I don't know when all this happened, but anyway, when we went up there, where were we going? But anyway, we knew where he lived. So we went someplace near Portland.
Mm.
So we looked him up and found out where he lived, and so we contacted him. And I remember going out for dinner. He took us out for dinner.
Oh. That's nice.
But the woman, I don't think it was his wife, but the woman he lived with was working in a hospital. I remember that.
Oh.
She was not there.
Mm. He was a barber. No?
Yeah.
Or a hairdresser or something?
But he had been in a seminary in his earlier days.
Oh. I just remember a picture of him, very tan-looking guy.
Well, I think he lived in Long Beach quite a while, yeah. And he had a lot of hair.
Yeah, wavy hair.
Yeah, he had a lot of hair. Who was he related to and how? Somehow with Ben, but I'm not sure. He wasn't. Could they have been brothers?
Oh, a brother?
I don't know, Mary. I don't know.
That.
I'll have to think.
Maybe.
I'd have to think about it.
I could look it up on, I must have it on some genealogy thing from Father
Yeah.
Charles.
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, we better get going, Mary.
I think so.
We can't.
If we can't come late, we'll be in big trouble.